This podcast is brought to you by the creators of Emmy Award-winning Rising Phoenix.
Supported by global partners, Adidas and Procter & Gamble, the proud makers of Oral-B, Pampers, and Gillette. Welcome, everybody. My name is Matt Stutzman. I'm a four-time Paralympian and silver medalist.
And I'm four-time Olympic gold medalist Michael Johnson.
Welcome to our podcast, Rising Phoenix, What Does It Take?
Where we'll be talking with lots of world-class Paralympic athletes.
Kind of like me.
Exactly like you, Matt. You'll hear their life stories and how they got to this point and what they're looking forward to for Paris 2024 and beyond.
So we're in amazing Paris. It's been awesome being with you, Michael. In fact, we're actually at one of the venues for the Paralympic Games, the Adidas Arena. What I'm hoping happens is that the Paralympic athletes actually get time to go out and travel around the city between competitions.
Yeah, that'd be great. One group, though, who will actually combine competing and sightseeing is the Para Triathletes. They'll get to swim in the Seine. They'll cycle up the Champs-Élysées.
That sounds right.
It doesn't sound right. Actually, it's the Champs-Élysées. They'll cycle up the Champs-Élysées. How's that?
That's actually way better.
All right. So they will swim up the Seine. They will cycle up the Champs-Élysées and towards the Arc de Triomphe and run through the heart of the city.
Well, hopefully they're not going too fast to pick up some souvenirs. But, Michael, you know how you like gold stuff. I actually stopped and got you a souvenir.
Very nice.
A gold souvenir.
Yeah, nice.
I know you like to go fast as well, and I wanted to make sure that you actually had enough time to stop and get one.
Thank you. So you are, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Look at that. Eiffel Tower, gold Eiffel Tower. Love it.
Unless, of course, they do pick up a medal of their own. Welcome to Rising Phoenix. What does it take? Lauren Steadman. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Lauren. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm just wondering whether you guys need to have some French lessons on how to pronounce the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe.
You're not wondering that. You know that. You're not wondering that at all. You're stating a fact. We need some French lessons. Absolutely.
Oh, dear.
So the route of the Para Triathlon course sounds amazing, right? Are you given a map so you don't get lost? Instead of, I'm going to get this right, ready? Tourney à droite or tourney à gauche.
That's turn left or right, correct?
Yes, let's go.
Ding, 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 ding.
That was actually a guess from me because I don't know the French for it.
But you were right. Nice.
Yeah. So no, we definitely have a course map, and it shows us exactly where the swim will be. We basically start just underneath the Pont Alexandre bridge. We go under another bridge. We turn around, we come back. Then we basically on our bikes we have 5 by I think it was 3.8K loops. I mean, that in itself is iconic, riding your bike up the Champs-Élysées. So I'm super, super excited. And then our run is like 3 laps, where the thing that I love most about Para Triathlon is that, you know, people are like, oh, I need to get tickets. And I'm like, actually, for Para Triathlon, you don't. We race on the streets. So just turn up, be there along the side and like just cheer us all along. So it's very much, I love to say that triathlon's a community sport just because literally everybody can get involved. So it will be on fire. There'll be such an atmosphere and all the energy. So I hope you guys will be there.
It sounds amazing. I'm sure that, having that crowd out there, just cheering you guys on as you're going certainly is a motivating factor. But Lauren, you compete for the UK in the PTS5 classification. Tell us what that means and how it specifically relates to you and your situation.
So I am least disabled category with a 5. And you will see I'm missing my lower right forearm. Quite a few of the other girls are as well. Although we do race in American, Grace, she's missing her foot. So it's basically we're classified based on strength, mobility. You could say what's missing, what's not missing. But yeah, so it's kind of done on that, and we're equally graded so that when we get on that start line, everybody, is on an equal playing field, and it's literally going for that gold. The other categories underneath, you've got your wheelchair category, and then from 2 through till PTS 4, again, varying physical disabilities.
I'm always trying to push Matt into different sports. He doesn't have any arms, which
So you
Which
say
which category would he be in?
probably the floating class.
No, you just sort of like use your legs on the swim. You just have to turn around occasionally, see where you're going. And then on the bike, I feel like you're a really skilled man, and I think you could probably be in like a hand cycle, but like use your legs.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think you'd surprise us.
If after the swim is over, don't you got to change clothes to get onto the bike?
Well, you get out of your wetsuit, but you would be allowed someone to help you. So I don't know who you choose. Definitely. No, I don't.
That would be me. That would be me.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so your teacher saw you swim and something said to her, look at the talent. Like what happened after that?
So when I was a little girl, I used to be exceptionally sporty, and I think it was more so just to prove to other children, you know, I am missing an arm, but actually I'm just as good as you are. And it was just one day in class, year 6, primary school. The teacher said, we need somebody who will swim at the local swimming competition, represent the school. And no one put their hand up. And I just felt sorry for her. And I knew I could swim. So I just put my hand up, turned up to the swimming competition. And the previous head coach of British Disability Swimming happened to be at this swimming event. So I did my thing, I swam, and she came up to my parents afterwards and she said, you know, I really think Lauren's got some skills here. I think she could go all the way. Have you heard of Paralympic sport? And I come from a really small village in the UK, and I'd never heard of Paralympic sport. I was just doing sport to fit in, to enjoy what it meant to do movement. And like, I think 6 weeks later, at the age of 11, I went to my first disability swimming competition. And just for me, as a young girl with an arm missing, to walk into a swimming pool and see all of these other disabilities, and literally they were conquering the pool. Like there was nothing that nobody couldn't do. It opened my eyes to what Paralympic sport movement is. And it's kind of the beginning of a dream as a young little girl that I could potentially have a shiny gold medal around my neck one day and I could do it for my country.
Is it true that you actually asked your parents to put you into boarding school so you could focus more?
I wouldn't say maybe I did ask them. I think the boarding school already had 3 other kids that had an arm missing, and they were like just flying down the pool, and they approached my parents and sort of said like, Lauren's really good. And I was 14 years of age, and I did go off to boarding school. It was 5.5 hours away from home. So from that moment, like I left home and I never really returned. And my bed at boarding school was 50 meters away from the swimming pool. So like, before that at home with my dad, we were driving 45 minutes every morning, every night to get to the pool. Whereas now I literally 4 minutes before the session would roll out of bed and literally just plop myself in the swimming pool. And I just think it helped me focus, because as a youngster especially, you can get so distracted. Whereas literally you were made to swim, go to school, eat your food, do homework time for 2 hours after your full day, and then go to bed and repeat that like 6 days a week. So intense, but it was just so much fun.
So when I was 28, I went to my first games in London. And I read here that you were 15 when you went to Beijing to represent Team GB. I'm thinking back about my first time being 28, and the fact that you're doing that at 15, like, kind of tell me what that was really like.
Honestly, I look back at it and I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to go and experience it. Just, for example, going into a village and, you know, you've got your apartment block and you cover it in Union Jacks, or just the food hall. Like, as an athlete, you're always hungry. And then you go into a food hall and you can literally eat any type of cuisine. And back then it was like McDonald's. And it's like, as a 15-year-old, because mum and dad and teachers are not there to tell you, like, come on now, no McNuggets or McFlurries. And so it was really overwhelming. It was really daunting. I didn't perform as well as I wanted to. I'd posted a time to qualify that was so much faster than what I did. And at the age of 15, I wasn't able to draw in on experience or calm those nerves. And my highest finished position was 9th, which at 15, 9th in the world, you know, that's actually not bad. So I was hard on myself at the time, but I think as athletes you just compete and then you look at, okay, well, that one's done. What's next? But it gave me a great platform moving forward for London.
On a side note, the McDonald's line was the longest line. You remember like waiting for like hours for
Yes.
for McNuggets?
Yeah, and I'm gutted because they're no longer
Everybody had the
responsible.
same idea. So speaking of London, so there you got through to the final of the S9 in the 100 meters, I believe, and 400 meter freestyle, but you didn't medal. Was that part of your reason for switching sports?
Change sometimes is good. And sometimes your best just isn't good enough because you haven't found what you're truly good in. I was a fantastic swimmer. I think I finished 5th in the 400 meters. So, my trajectory, I was going in the correct direction. And I gave absolutely everything I could, 110% to swimming. Like I did everything that was asked of me and just could never quite in a race summon what was needed of me, even though I'd done all the training and everything was there. And actually, London in itself was very special for me because for 4 years since qualifying for Beijing, I wasn't able to go faster than 1 minute and 6 seconds for 100 meter freestyle. Literally every race, whether that was 0.1, 0.2, it would just be over. And I remember before the heats and saying, I really don't mind what this is as long as it's a 105.99. And in that race, I did a 105.98. And I think everybody might have thought I was a bit crazy because I celebrated like I got a gold medal, but 4 years trying to get under that time frame. And I remember like 17,000 people looking at the top of the aquatic center. My dad was on his feet because he was like, oh my gosh, she's done it. So for me, like I did something that took 4 years for me to do. And then in the final, I wasn't able to replicate it. I dabbled in triathlon about 6 months earlier than that for British Triathlon and come second in the country. Half of me as an athlete was like, no, I've not finished what I started yet. I'm a swimmer. I need to do this. I was on this mission to do it. But then the other half of me was like, you've sold your soul to get where you are so far. And you came second after 0 training for triathlon. Maybe your skill set lies somewhere else. And being brave enough now and having the courage to switch sports. At that time, it wasn't a Paralympic sport either. It was just in hope that it would become one. I'm very, very proud of myself for having the courage to change sports.
So success for you actually came rather quickly when you switched sports. You are a double Para Triathlon world champion and a 6-time European champion. However, the Rio Games for you, there was a little bit of trouble, from what I understand. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I came into the world of triathlon. Within 2 years, I took my first world title, which stays with you for life. My grandparents were also there, and the first time I've ever had a national anthem that I could sing that I had earned, and it was just super, super special. That was in 2014, 2015, retained the title. So going into 2016, all eyes on Lauren to bring home the gold medal. And rightly so, I was the strongest in the field.
The spectacular Copacabana Beach in Rio was the setting for the women's triathlon event at the 2016 Paralympics in front of an enthusiastic crowd who'd gathered to be part of a significant event as the first women's para-triathlon medals in Paralympic history were to be decided.
I hadn't swum the swim recce the day before, just because they were saying that the water quality was not good. Do you do a swim recce the day before, get ill overnight and then affect your race, or do you just study the course and then go in and hope that you know it? And unfortunately, perhaps in all of the excitement and the adrenaline of being in the race, I missed a swim buoy. And I remember swimming and the canoes come across, and I stopped and I looked across and I could see them all about 25 meters to my right. And I was like, oh my goodness. And he said, you need to go back past that buoy. And I literally was like Nemo, swum my heart out, and I got back to second place by the end of the swim. But I'm in a wetsuit, the water's 32 degrees, it's 38 degrees out on the Copacabana beach. So like I knew that I'd probably fried myself to put myself back in a good position. Got onto the bike, and I like to be out of sight, out of mind, but the American was right behind me. So anytime I accelerated, she matched me. And she knew that her run was like what my swim was. And she knew that if she could just stick with me on the bike, she could outrun me. And I even heard her coach from the US team. He was like, yep, just stay there and you'll be fine. And I was like, oh gosh. And we got onto the run, and I did my best, but I was overheated. I was so hot from the swim. So yeah, super devastated when she literally just like a gazelle ran past me. And I tried to come back, but I couldn't. Bittersweet day, because that was also my first ever Paralympic medal. So at the same time, like I'm still silver medalist. I made a huge mistake, dug deep to come back. But yeah, I was a bit angry would be the word to use probably post race.
So it's safe to say you were turning a droit instead of turning a gauche.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, let's go.
Well, Matt's been waiting on that one. He's been waiting to use that for a minute now. So thanks for setting him up like that.
It made me look really professional there.
In Tokyo, it all went right for you. You win gold. You've been now, a Paralympic athlete at that point for 17 years, and you're the gold medalist. Just talk about that moment and what it felt like to get that medal around your neck, hearing your anthem.
Again, a bittersweet moment, incredible bittersweet, because obviously no one was there but me and my coach. The biggest thing for me was I was such a different athlete. The one that went into Rio was petrified. I was watching Grey's Anatomy, drinking Tetley's cups of tea the night before the race in Tokyo. I knew that I had literally done everything I possibly could to get to Tokyo in like the perfect state. So I was really cool. I knew what I had to do. And in the race itself, it's the calmest I've ever been. The American girl, she went off like an absolute rocket in the swim, like got 45 seconds. And I come out, looked at the board and was like, oh gosh. Got on my bike, still stayed cool, calm. Each lap, just tried to put a little bit into her and did that. And went into transition number 2 with a 20-second lead. Got onto the run course and I thought, she's 20 seconds behind me, and she can run. I knew she was there. I felt the pressure. I was trying to cool myself down, like ice water, ice buckets, everything over me. And on the last lap, it's a pretty special moment for me. My grandparents passed a couple of years before the games. And I remember asking my granddad for the strength. And I also said to myself, how much do you want this? And I can't even explain how it happened. I got another 20 seconds out of my legs. Like they were already beat, they were gone. But I found another 20 seconds to pull ahead with a 42-second lead.
And now Lauren Steadman comes onto the blue carpet for the final time. She has not let up. Are we going to start to see that smile spread across her face? The last 2 years of hard work.
And running down that chute, because of what had happened in Rio, I didn't dare take the flags from my teammates. They were giving me flags so I could do that like really cool, iconic running down the chute with a flag. But I was like, no, I'm just going to block you out. I have to cross the line. And the moment my toe got over the line, I still waited for them because I was like, he's going to play a joker card, the commentator. He's going to be like, oh no, she got DQ'd or something was going to go wrong. And then the moment they said, your new Paralympic champion, Lauren Steadman, I just felt this wash of relief, endorphins, and I spun around and obviously my parents weren't there, but I knew somewhere in the world they would be. My coach, who had coached me for the 17 years, was at the end of the chute, and I remember just looking at him, and in one moment it was incredible. I sat down on the floor and Grace ran in as well, and we had a really, really good time, and calling my dad from the ice bath so upset. But yeah, it was an incredible moment. And I remember also after all the hush of it and standing there with the national anthem, getting back to my little hotel room, and I put the gold medal in front of me on the table and I had a cup of tea, and for about 10 minutes, I was just staring at it like, oh God, I did it. It was so shiny, so heavy, and it was mine. And I couldn't believe it.
Gold medalist and Paralympic champion representing Great Britain, Lauren Steadman.
And the new Paralympic champion.
What made you after that just decide to stop?
As an athlete, from the age of 11, I was hunting a gold medal and had not even considered what happens once you get a gold medal. And it was a little bit surreal. I got home, mum and dad are there, great. Strap the bike to the roof of the car, go home. We had a barbecue. And I'm just sat there like, all right then, medal's gone in the safe. Dad went to work, mum went to work. Well, me and the dogs. And it was a bit like, what do I do? What is next?
Yeah.
we don't prepare for that moment. I took some time away from triathlon post Tokyo just because I had lost the love of being an athlete. Like, in order to go to the darkest places you need to make yourself ready for the games, you have to have this fire in your belly, and I no longer had it. I had the gold medal. I'd achieved what I wanted to. Like, what's next? I didn't have that, and I was so lost. And I went to a pretty bad place, actually. Like, I was really, really not happy, overwhelmed, anxious. And it took a long time to sort through those thoughts with good support around me. And I needed to go away and realize, actually, why do I do sport? I do sport because I love that feeling. I want to be stronger. I want to be fast. All of those things, but you sometimes lose sight of that when you're so focused on a performance.
You are actually going to be competing again in Paralympics here in Paris. And then you're also working on winter sport as well. So talk a little bit about, going from, sort of not really loving it anymore and not really being involved in sport after Tokyo to now coming back to Paralympics to do another triathlon, but also take up winter sports.
Yes. I mean, that does look quite extreme when you put it like that. I got asked to go and do the commentary in Beijing for the winter sports, and I was on cross-country skiing, and it looked like the nastiest, most horrible, gruesome, horrible sport you could do, like just going uphill on skis. And I thought in my head, oh, I think this is for me. And I come back from there and I was like, I knew the chances are super slim because I would never expect somebody to come into the world of para triathlon and as Paralympic champ challenge me. So I came back, asked GB Snow Sports. I said, what would it take? And they were like, nah, 6 years, you're too old, da-da-da-da. You just don't say things like that to me.
Never.
I did do my first World Cup, January gone, and I came, I think I came 13th. I would need to knock 2 more girls off the world rankings in order to qualify for Milan. So that's not too distant. But doing the training for skiing, and then I went away and did a whole summer of lifting weights and a bit of CrossFit. I realized that it actually wasn't, I don't like to train, I don't like to be an athlete. It was the fact that I'd just fallen out of love and as to why I did it. So I was fortunate enough that sponsors and my federation said, take the time, go and be strong, go and be fit, and you'll still need to race because we need points. So I had to make sure, I did a certain level of swim, bike, run. But slowly I realized that actually I really enjoy being on that blue carpet. I really enjoy punching out power on that bike. The girls have moved on in the 2 years that I didn't race in triathlon, so I'm fully aware that, yeah, I'm clutching at straws potentially, but I'm doing everything I can right now to turn up, and I'm gonna play the Joker card. I'm gonna be in that race, and I'm gonna defend that medal. So if you want it, you can take it, but it's not gonna be easy for you. Great Britain have honoured me with the chance to represent them again to try and bring home a medal, and there's no bigger honour than that. So I will do my best to be in the best shape I can so that when I'm on that start line, I'm going to bring some cheekiness.
So if all that wasn't enough, you're actually currently studying for a PhD. What kind of PhD is it?
So I'm doing a PhD with the University of Portsmouth in sports psychology. And the title of my PhD is Mapping Mental Health Narratives in our Olympians and Paralympians to sort of get a longitudinal study as to what happens to their mental health over a whole Olympic final year. So it's full on, but it's super exciting and interesting. I have 2 previous degrees, and one of them was psychology, which in many ways has also helped frame my mindset as an athlete. And also makes you very difficult to work with sports psychologists because you know what they're going to say before they've said it. So sometimes I get told off. But actually looking into the world of mental health, and if I talk personally about myself post-Tokyo, I just needed some time out. It made me physically sick because my whole identity was tied to being Lauren the triathlete. And I just had all these ideas that people would be upset with me, ashamed that I wasn't that strong, tough athlete that could push through. And actually, it wasn't that. I'm not that athlete. I'm very much still that athlete. I just needed a pause. And asking for that as an athlete, though, we perceive that as, oh my goodness, what is everyone going to think, and what are they going to say? But I think when you see other athletes having the courage to do so, Simone Biles, Adam Peaty, Max Whitlock, some prominent champions within sport coming forward and saying, hey, let's have a break. It can be quite tiresome. And then coming back out re-energized and passionate just shows that actually we do need to focus a little bit more on ourselves. We are athletes, we are machines, we get jobs done, but we are also human. So I'm also getting to the point, I'll be 32 this year, where you start to also wonder, what else is there in life? Like, since being 11, all I have known is working 7 days a week, delivering on sport, sacrificing going to events. So what does it look like to have a partner to come home to? What does it look like to think of having a family? What does being in one place and actually having a home look like? So those questions have started to creep in, which makes it even more difficult to be that single mind focus. And we've seen a lot of women who have gone and had pregnancies and babies come back and be even more incredible athletes. So we can combine these worlds if we perceive that we're allowed to combine them. So it's about, I guess, creating a method or a process in which athletes are allowed to live and also be sporting, but also have the transitional process out. So I'm passionate about it, making sure that my PhD helps create movement and change for our Olympians and our Paralympians.
So you will be in Paris. And I'm just wondering, with all of your experience as a swimmer, as a para triathlon athlete, and now with your multiple degrees in psychology and mental well-being, how do you see the difference between that athlete, that Lauren from Beijing, versus Lauren today with all of this experience?
I think if I look back at each of the games, the version of myself that has turned up as an athlete has been so vastly different. The little Lauren that turned up aged 15, not realizing the impact she was going to have in the sporting world and what she was capable of, the nerves, the attention to detail. It's kind of like, when you first learn to drive and you keep hitting all the different wrong foot things and you're like, that's what I was like in Beijing. Whereas now I drive without even thinking. And it's the same with turning up to races. Like, you have a routine. You're so good at it that you could probably do it with your eyes closed. Paralympic sport, it has done wonders, not just for people with a disability, but for able-bodied people as well. Like, it's such an incredible movement to be part of. And I am proud to be a Paralympian. So I go into Paris knowing that it very, very likely will be my final Summer Games. And my biggest driving force is that I want to embrace and literally absorb and love every moment. And on that start line, know that I have experience, I have the tools, I have everything necessary to deliver a race that I can be proud of. And when I cross that line, I made good decisions and I left it all out there. I'd love it if it was a shiny gold one, but at the same time, after the last 2 years of having to fight my way back to just be on the start line, I'll be very proud of the girl that crosses the line.
So I can relate to that because this is most likely my last Paralympic Games as well. And for me, I'm bringing my family over for the first time ever, so they get to come and watch. And so for me, it's about the memories that I'm going to be making while at this Games. Like, really sit back, enjoy it, enjoy the experience, enjoy that they get to watch their dad, do all this stuff. If I happen to win, for me, that's just a bonus. But the reality is like there's more important things than just sport, right? Like, it is those memories and those things that you make while you're doing it.
I sat at a table at the Team GB ball about 3 months ago. The husband of one of our swimmers sat next to me. She came fourth by 0.14 of a second, and that was her final Games. But 0.14 of a second, like, she's not that far from the gold medal. So, but her whole career was defined on what color she got. And actually it wasn't about that, because she was so close. Like, we often forget as athletes that it's the journey. Like, each and every day you live this, you breathe it. And actually it sounds really cliche, but the journey's more important than the destination. But sometimes it is.
I think it absolutely is. I think what it really takes to get to that level and how you get there, if you're not a part of that journey to get there, when you are there, it's not going to be as rewarding as you think it's going to be.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you touched on earlier is really important as well for all athletes is, being an athlete doesn't define us. You're more than just an athlete, and having that sort of life and existence, outside of just being an athlete. Everyone knows us as athletes, but just because that's what the people who don't really know us, they know us as athletes. The people who really know us as brothers, fathers, sisters, mothers, friends, and, you have more worth than just, what you do. I mean, sport is what we do, but it's not who we are. So I think that's really important. And thank you for sharing that with us. Lauren, thank you so much for taking time out of your training and all of the other things that you're doing. And we wish you the best of luck later this summer here in Paris.
Thank you for having me, guys.
I will see you in the athlete village. So make sure you come up and say hi to me.
I'll see.
I heard I have a pretty good handshake.
I was going to say, see you in the food
You
hall.
guys are going to see
We can high five.
You guys will see each other at McDonald's.
So when you were talking about the food, and Michael immediately looked at me because we've had this conversation because I like the food. All sorts of different kinds of food you can actually have.
But it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
At the video. It is dangerous for sure. Anyway, thank you so much, and we'll be seeing you in Paris.
See you soon, guys.
You're listening to Rising Phoenix, What Does It Take? A podcast by the creators of Emmy Award-winning Rising Phoenix.
Supported by global partners, Adidas and Procter & Gamble, the proud makers of Oral-B, Pampers, and Gillette.
If you like what you listen to or want to learn more about Rising Phoenix, check out the details in our show notes.
Make sure you subscribe and like and give us a 5-star so more people can follow.
This is a Persophonica production in partnership with Harder Than You Think.
I'm a rising female.